I want to talk about going private. That many functions in society that are handled by some kind of central organization like a government or a large company or head of a tribe or a state. Well, these functions they they're all being done by servers, by information systems, by private money like Bitcoin, by by informal arrangements. And what will happen is that this trend will progress to a point that um, many governments, many institutions will become meaningless. But they exist, but they're just like a shell that's out there. They do some business, but this business is really something like from leftovers, or they'll have some customers, but the customers they're all people that are like dinosaurs, like themselves, and you don't know what will be the end of it. Basically, many institutions are going to go extinct, and these functions that they used to do, these functions are going to go private because private individuals are able to using software, using private money, using servers, using encrypted communications to do these functions without using these other systems. Well, uh, I was watching Max Kaiser, one of the last past episodes, and he was talking to entrepreneur. I guess he's friends with them, and he was constructing another kind of internet. It was called MegaNet, which is like, well, you have your computer or your laptop, and it connects to a server, but as soon as the signal or bits leave your station, they travel only to one destination. That's the MegaNet network, and they become totally encrypted. So there is no way for anybody to follow an IP address or to uh, look at the data because you made an arrangement with this company and you told each other that, hey, we don't want anybody to know this data. We don't want anybody to look at this data, and this is going to become much worse. And many of these systems already exist in the many gadgets that we use. I know that there is a lot of encryption in Apple's iPhones, the latest ones, and they're very difficult to discover what's going on. Well, Apple might be doing data mining on their own customers, but say for example, in this example of MegaNet, if the signal that was going or the bits or the information that was going from your server, it got encrypted even before it went to the MegaNet network. Like you had a little substation or a little gadget that was encrypting it even before it got into MegaNet. Then the MegaNet was the only one that knew how to unencrypt that, and then when MegaNet sent it out to other servers, it was totally out of the hand of anybody out of the hand of the government. So basically, what I'm describing to you is that this encryption technology will, will become so widespread, so in so many gadgets, that basically the private information, no matter what it is, become will become so obscure, so difficult for governments, for institutions, for CIA to tap in, that it basically has gone underground. Okay, actually, many places are doing that. They're paying companies, they're paying for new technologies that will do that, because that's just the flow of technology. Nobody likes to have their data. Some, for example, CIA could tap into that data and do something with it. For example, in the assassination of uh, the Iranian general Soleimani, well, CIA had drones, and the drones were looking into the airport, and they had knowledge that they shouldn't have had. Now, what happened afterwards is that, well, the Iranians had also hacked into the U.S. systems, and they tracked the CIA operatives or their chiefs, like Mike DeAndre, and killed him when he was traveling with other chiefs on on an airplane. I think it was called 11A or something. It's a kind of airplane that's like a Wi-Fi, but then it just shows a tremendous amount of spying. So it also shows that the technology that's out there right now is very, like, very open. Just anybody or some hackers or many hackers, they can get into the technology. And then also was very surprising that the the Iranians pinpointed where these people were, and they they destroyed them. They destroyed the. Well, that's a lot of information that the Americans had on the Iranians, and the Iranians had on the Americans. But this is the situation that exists today because of the level of technology that we have. But that doesn't mean that this is going to continue. That means, first of all, I think that many central server hubs, they're totally going to go underground. They're like, I mean, physically underground. Like, Iran has like about 1,000 underground bases, and about a few years ago, I don't know, it was 5 years, 10 years ago, I heard that the Iranian Ministry of Information or something like that, they came around and they did something. They transferred all the main servers that the internet for the whole country was hooked to that, and they transferred it underground, which is it's actually physically underground, and all the communications were kind of disconnected from the main internet, which is outside of Iran. I think Russia did that some years later. All their internet is kind of like completely disconnected from U.S. internet. Or well, I saw another news bit that the United States is like building satellite that give free internet to the whole planet. But then, if the people in different parts of the world are deeply mistrustful of United States, and they know that their data is going to be mined and they're going to be used to overthrow their government or create social upheaval or lie to the population, and get them to demonstrate for stupid causes, and then who's gonna use that internet? Well, this is just like many central banks. They issue lots of money, and investors come in and build these huge buildings in the middle of nowhere, make their own ghost cities. They make a structure and things, but then the society never thought that hey, we should make a city in the middle of Mongolia. So the place is there. The internet is out in the space, and some people are going to use it, but most people will pay to have the data rerouted to places that the CIA cannot get into it, but or they value their privacy in other ways. Well, I saw another news bit, and this was published. I think was published by IDF, which is Israeli Defense Force or Israeli military, and they were complaining that the Syrians had gone and purchased the system from an Italian company. This system totally encrypts everything for the Syrian military, and they were talking and communicating with each other, and the Iranians had come in and used the system. Now, I don't know if it's not impossible to hack any kind of system, even the ones that are very well encrypted. But the fact that they were complaining showed that you know many organizations, military or private party, down to the level of just an iPhone or a computer server, will pay, will take care to make sure that this data does not go nowhere, that Americans can access it. One of the most destructive governments in the world is the U.S. government. It's really a criminal organization. I heard that they have backdoor access that were installed by Microsoft itself or by Apple or other corporations, that their intelligence services can just come in. Like you have a little door to the back of the house nobody knows about, and you just can come in and get into the house whenever you want. Is that situation going to continue if there is militaries involved? I don't think so. I think it will happen. The encryption will happen at the military level, because they could get killed, just like General Soleimani got killed. They will take pain to arrange things so it cannot be accessed by foreign military, other intelligence services. And then it will just get worse, or it has gotten worse, but then with technology, there is lag time. I have a video, it's called lag time. It means that technology progresses so rapidly, but the public, it doesn't seep into the culture or what the public perceives as possible technologically. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It does exist, but and then it becomes when it shows up, it becomes a huge surprise. Just like Iranians were successful in killing CIA chief Mike DeAndre, where he was, what plane he was going on, other chiefs that were with him, and that's a very fitting punishment for the stuff that the U.S. government and CIA have done. And it's just so sad that these militant militaries, also very much bankrupt, in every sense of the word, continues go around and overthrow foreign governments and kill significant politicians. I was watching the news, and they still want to prosecute Assange and keep him in prison. Well, he's just like a journalist, and the, their stupid politicians haven't gotten it into their head that it's really difficult to hide all this trash they've done. Then this there was another video I made. It was called "Government on a Shoestring," which means that well, this video is also kind of hooked with the radical democracy, uh, which means that with the use of servers and computer systems, you only need to verify identity. For example, you would only need to have on a computer something that can read thumbprints and figure out from the thumbprint who the actual voter is, and then the rest of the voting process can be handled securely by this system, and can be checked and rechecked even with paper or letters. A person could engage in a radical democracy process and vote, and then later on the letter would come in and would ask you to verify this is the vote that we got from you, and I want you to sign this document saying that yes, this is actually my vote. So, but that doesn't end there. Radical democracy means that if you know a large percentage of your society is responsible enough to vote, and you can really verify that there was no fraud, it has to be several layers of verification, then there is more that can be done. Just like money that has become more sophisticated and has become Bitcoin, well, the governance can become like Bitcoin. Governance can divest itself from all these stupid militant politicians that the United States has. But this is just the beginning. Well, this technology is everywhere now, but the perception or the way we think about politics has not evolved to a point where we can use this technology. Let me check on this machine, see if it's working. Okay, yeah, it's still recording. Sometimes it doesn't have enough charge. I forgot to charge it up really good, and it kind of dies out on me. And some of my lectures get cut off without me wanting to cut it off. Governance can become like Bitcoin. Well, then, well, I don't think this can be easily migrated to judicial system because there is a lot of stuff that has to be on personal level, but many lawyers are using AI systems. There is a process or decision tree how to go through the court with each case. But in U.S. government, there is the plea bargaining, and you really need the human element for all the particulars of each case, and also that both parties, either the DA or the criminals and their attorneys, they come to on a human level, come to agreement. Well, when you cut off all these intelligence services and military out of the budget, and you simplify these systems, there is a you notice that you need very little money to 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 do an actual governance, okay, or the actual banking. For example, Bitcoin itself or blockchain replaces many functions that a bank does, and this is actually a very good analogy because the U.S. banks, they are nothing but big sucking machines, suck up all the monies and resources. But when you look down and you compare what they do, what Bitcoin does or blockchain does, you see that the blockchain and Bitcoin, they the expenses of running that system is almost zero comparison to what the banks charge the government and society, and we are just constantly bailing them out. But once somebody figure somebody figures it out, or the society figures it out, that, hey, we don't need these guys, and we can transfer money, we can issue currency to our citizens, we can maintain ourselves. We don't need all these fraudsters. Once they figure that out, then it's a huge collapse. It's like somebody went on top of the Empire State Building and took a huge nosedive. You actually need very little money to run a government. That's why the video's name was called Government on a Shoestring. Uh, well, if you notice the ideas I'm running by you, one is governance, one is banking, one is the money itself, and even judiciary processes. If you, these are all information systems, okay, and it can be set up that a lot more efficiently than what we have now. And the technology is totally there. The only thing that's the hiccup, and also don't forget the voting process and radical democracy. The only thing that's the hiccup is the verification and also encrypting the data. So keep out fraudsters, keep out CIA, making sure that the data remains authentic, and when it's collected, it is authentic. And but the other thing that that will become much better is that society will will spend its money or investments in things that the society actually wants. It, when these information systems they are running right, there is less chances of malinvestments, mal rotten kind of fraud that goes on, or accumulation of a lot of debt or monies that they really don't mean anything. Well, some of my ideas are kind of like very difficult to grasp, especially the seeing analogies between different information systems. That many of these functions in society, they're really an old information system that was used many years ago, and society got used to it and kept trying to improve it incrementally, but we don't really need them. Well, this is kind of an analogy between lock and the key, the cylinder lock and the key. Well, when with that kind of old-fashioned lock, you have this piece of metal, and it has all these little grooves and indentations. Okay, all these geometrical shapes, right? has to fit into the cylinder in just the right way, so you can turn the cylinder and unlock this lock, right? But this is only one form of lock. It's a very well made and has worked for many years, and I have one too on my door. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be electronic lock, and electronic lock can be much better because you can change the combination to this lock on demand. You put it in the computer and you change it. You can change it on a daily basis, like if you are running a hotel, you know, or you can know who has it for today or for this hour and who doesn't. It's much more flexible, and it, it can be replaced easily. Okay, it's just like when money migrated from fiat paper, that's that's printed in a certain way, so you know this is money. It migrated into Bitcoin and blockchain. So this migration can happen with other information systems too. Okay, they are nothing special, except when it comes down to the human level, you must authentically verify if a voter is the right voter. It has to be multiple systems that come in with letter. One is electronic, and one is with letter, and so on. But also, if you were able to do such a thing, you would have a pretty good idea of what society wants to do with these political decisions. And then on a representative level, it can become more something that's like these politicians, they really are servants of society. They're public servants. They do not deserve all these wealth and all these behind the door cash. This is just nothing but outrageous fraud. We could replace them. We could replace them with public servants that get $100,000 a year, and if you get any more money, you will go to prison. Okay, and you can make proposals to amend regulations or laws. You can make legislative proposals, and through this same radical democracy process, it can be totally verified by the voting public. Uh, this idea is out there. I'm just kind of giving you an outline of it. But this process is an information system too, and it can go on a blockchain. Well, thank you very much for being my YouTube channel and my crazy ideas. Okay, so if you understand my ideas, you have a pretty good IQ. You should really look forward to becoming a researcher, and these ideas, they're not really something to, I'm not trying to become an entertainer or have millions of people watch my show. It's more like a record, or like somebody discovers a new virus and is a scientist, and he puts out the record, and so that other scientists or researchers can kind of see and read that. You know what I mean? Well, I do work as an actor, but that's a completely different department. I try to keep things kind of compartmentalized. I have a lot of videos on spirituality and Sufism I don't even talk about it in the temple. I don't, have psychic predictions. It's just but I wanna put them out. I want them to be available. At some point, uh, the society will get over the lag time and will intellectually and spiritually catch up with these ideas. Okay. Hey, don't be shy. Leave comments and please subscribe.